Wonderful. Welcome, everyone, to our first ever live show. We're using Zoom this time. We've got different camera angles, different sound, different computer setup, camera. Everything's like different. We can see everyone's faces. This is so much fun for us, and hopefully it's fun for you as well. Welcome to our kitchen.
Yeah, welcome to our home.
In fact, I think it was 4 years ago this month in January was our first ever live. I think that was that 4 years ago or 3 years ago?
Oh,
Maybe 3 years ago
yeah.
was our first ever live. I don't know how many lives we have done now, but we absolutely love doing them. It's the part where people come to life for us, and we get to see you and talk to you and have conversations with you. And now through Zoom, even more so. So this is so much fun. So thanks for joining us today. We hope you have a great time. All the members of Club VanillaPura, they can attend every one of our Zooms for free. Those of you that are joining us through Eventbrite, we're so happy to have you with us as well. So welcome. This is a continuing series of extract making workshops that follows our book. For any new people, we wrote The Art of Extract Making. It was published end of September last year. Since the very first date of its publication until today, and still going, we have been on the Amazon bestseller list for, it's like 127 consecutive days now, which has just beaten all of our expectations. It's been received very well. People have read it, they've used it, they've tried it, and our hope is that it just helps everyone jump down that extract making rabbit hole and gives them a place to begin.
Just a place to start.
It's a place to start. And we talk about this, that we spend a lot of time on the name of the book. Naming the book is a really, I mean, next to naming like your kids or your or your dog, right? Like it's naming your book is a really big thing. And the reason that we kept it as The Art of Extract Making and not like the science or not just extract making by itself is because it is an art. And our hope with our book is that it just gives you a place to begin. And we hope that you take all these recipes and you bend them and you twist them and you add new things to them and you make them all your own. We just wanted to give a starting point to make sure that every extract that people make when they follow the recipes, your first one is great.
Yep, just teach you the foundations of what's going to make a great vanilla extract, and then from there, the sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. But we hope our book is only a starting point. And we hope you guys make these recipes all your own. And then you share what you've learned. You go to our Facebook group. We're over 105,000 members now, Making Vanilla Extract by VanillaPura. And it's 24/7 extract making interaction from people all around the world. And we hope that you go in and you share those things that you've learned, or things that you've changed, or things that you've made all your own, so other people can learn, and we just keep making more and more and more and more extracts.
Yeah, and if you're stuck and you have a problem, it's the best place to be because somebody always has an answer to your question.
Exactly. So that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
So in today's workshop, we're really excited. We're going to be doing two different things. One, we're going to check in on our Mocha extract, right, and do a change out, the one that we started in November.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, we're really excited about this one because we love this extract. We're going to be making our spiced rum double fold blend, which is it's our first double fold that we're making as a group. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about why double fold, how to prepare double fold. And then it's also the first time we're using a spiced rum, a flavored spirit. And there's lots of like cautions when you get into the world of flavored spirits. And so we're going to talk about why spiced rum is the exception and not the rule. And then we're giving away a $50 e-gift card to one of our attendees because we just can't help ourselves. We are always so happy to have you with us. And for those of you that attend and take time out of your day, it's a Tuesday, early afternoon, morning, depending on where you live. And we're just so glad that you're here with us. So thanks for taking a moment to be with us today. And we'll be giving one of our attendees a $50 e-gift card. So without any further ado, should we dive in? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that you covered it.
Let's jump right in, and I can stop and just jump in and unmute yourself, and you can interrupt us if someone has a question. Otherwise, we're just going to keep rolling right here.
Yep. Okay, so we are going off of our Mocha vanilla extract, and it's on page 96 if you have our book, if you want to follow along. So we started this in November, okay? This is the one we started, Mocha vanilla. And then I made it with Svedka. My beginning date, I always check the top, you guys, because this has happened to me. Make sure it's closed. I always put my beginning date on the bottom. We started this in November on the 21st. It's supposed to be changed out 1 month, right? And that was a month ago, a little over a month ago. And we were going to do that in our last live, and we kind of had a snafu. Crazy little, express snafu. So I just put these back in. So I wanted to be able to show you how I do this, how I take out the beans and the cacao. And so they're going to be in here an extra month. And this is where I would write this in the back of my book. Here, I would say, kept them in 1 month longer than the recipe. So if you like it better, you can do it again. But if I'm just following along with the recipe, I don't feel like I have to, make any additional notes.
No, and if I could even add to that, because I just received an email yesterday, and this is a very common email that we get from someone that goes past a date, or they're really, really worried because it was supposed to be changed out on 30 days and we're at day 38, or they missed it or whatever. And they're worried, like, did I ruin my extract? And really, no, you're not going to ruin your extract. Again, that's the flexibility that's sort of inherent in extract making. You can choose to leave the coffee and the cacao in there for longer. If you want more of a coffee and cacao taste, some people may want to leave it in there for 90 days or for 120 days to really make it come through. We find that it's pretty potent. It seems to us that a month was like the sweet spot, but here's a great example of us going a little bit longer, and we're just rolling with it, to make sure that it works well.
Yep. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to strain out everything in. Can you move the book just a little bit so I can make sure that you all can see what we're doing here? And we're just shaking this out. All I have in here are cacao beans, coffee beans, and vanilla. Now, the only thing I have left in here, I've got some cacao. You can rinse it out if you want. But I don't want to get rid of all of my little specks. I've got a ton of vanilla still in here. So I'm just going to I think maybe I can see one little cacao bean in there. I'm going to leave it. But if you don't want that in there, you can rinse this out and then put your vanilla beans back in, and then add back the liquid. Now, this is the part where I'm like, well, how much has my cacao bean and coffee beans absorbed all of my liquid, right? All of my alcohol. I started with 8 ounces, right? So I'm going to go look down here, and you guys, I'm barely under 1 cup, barely. So, I mean, whatever is still sitting in here, and probably a lot of it is absorbed into my vanilla beans, which I'm putting back into the bottle. So with the cacao and the coffee beans, you'll just have to see how much has been absorbed. Really, I don't feel the need to have to top this off because I am just below the line. But you can, at this point, top off if you want it exactly at 1 ounce. You can add just a little bit more vodka, and we use Svedka. But I mean, even if you don't have any Svedka at that time, you can add another vodka, a little bit like that. It's not going to matter at that point.
That's always the concern, is people worried that they're going to then dilute it, or adding the extra alcohol, is going to take away from. But in the case with multiple ingredients, that's not the case. Again, we always go back to our baseline, the FDA 0.83 ounces of beans to every 8 ounces of alcohol. And then we apply that to other dry ingredients. And so in this case, it's almost like this is a triple fold extract, because we have the cocoa nibs, we have the coffee, plus we have the vanilla beans, all in that original 8 ounces. And so,
so you've got a lot of different flavors, spices soaking up. that alcohol.
Yep. And so adding a little bit of alcohol to make sure that the beans are submerged, or to get your alcohol level back up with something like this, you're just fine.
Yep. Okay, so this, if you're wondering, this goes to my rice cooker. I mean, you just look in the cupboard and see what works, right?
But
So
we like that one.
I just like it because it fits in my strainer perfectly, and I can just kind of move everything around. Sometimes I'll just put it in the strainer and walk away, you know, and let it kind of just dry out and do its thing. But when I check, I really am not missing too much here. So, you know, what you want to do here is just, it's going to take a little bit of time. Whoops. It's going to take a little time. You're going to have to get all of the little vanilla pods back into your jar. And I cut them in very small pieces because I wanted to make sure that they were absorbed at the bottom of the jar when we put everything in together. So you're just going to kind of pick out all the different vanilla, and they're cut into small pieces. You could have tied them, so you could keep the vanilla bean whole to save the caviar or the seeds inside for later. But for this one in particular, I just cut them all to have them small at the bottoms, because you want to make sure that all of the ingredients are submerged. And when you have all of the coffee beans and the cacao beans, it takes up a lot of space. And the alcohol was just at the top of all the ingredients. So I'm just kind of, you know, kind of digging around here to see if I can see any more. And I need my glasses because I can't see it all.
In there, those beans are the same color as the coffee beans.
I know, and you guys,
like a little treasure hunt here.
I can't see up close. All of a sudden, my vision up close is like gone.
Seriously, how does that happen?
I know.
We didn't always have glasses, you know. Something happens as we're getting older.
Oh.
I don't know what it is. I thought if we surrounded ourselves with vanilla beans, we'd have like perfect vision until we were 95. But
yeah,
it's not the case.
Okay, so I think I've got it.
Yeah, it looks like you've got
it. So you could try this out and powder it out. Use it as a powder. Do you guys have a favorite thing that you do with your cacao and coffee beans once you dry them out? You can just, I just leave them out on the counter and I've powdered them. But do you guys have anything else that you like to do? Because we don't like to waste anything around here. And we have some seasoned people with us. I know we have some beginners, but we also have some very, very seasoned people who have made hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of extracts themselves. So tell us what you like to do. What do you like to do?
I like to make brownies. I got a lot of compliments on my cacao coffee bean brownies.
Ooh,
oh my gosh. That's a recipe you're going to have to share.
Yeah.
I actually like to grind them, of course, and use it in my coffee. So that way it gives it such a nice flavor. So if you add it to your coffee grinds, it just is so delicious.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
I have done that.
I've got a few comments in the chat too of other things that people like to do. Moonbeam Olivia likes to dry and grind them and add to sugar. And also as a meat rub. That sounds good.
Meat rub's wonderful. We've done that. And Moon Babe, we're so happy that you're here.
Leslie also grinds them and she adds them to sugar and uses it for the rim of her espresso martinis.
Oh my goodness.
Heavens.
That we have not done.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah, seriously.
And Constance uses hers leftovers on her morning oatmeal.
Ooh, we love that too. Anything on oatmeal is wonderful.
Well, and you
spice it up a little bit for sure. Even go ahead.
And you're not adding a ton of sugar.
No,
right?
well, we've done something similar with the leftover spices in the winter spice extract. And it's a little bit of spice like on oatmeal or those kinds of
It's so good.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And then I'm not adding a ton of sugar in that. If I want to add sugar, I can do it on the side. But if I don't, I'm just adding, just a little bit of spices there.
just the delicious flavor.
Yes.
And then Jessica, she likes to grind her cacao nibs up and put them in her chocolate chip cookies.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
That's a must.
She also has the question of, she'd like to know your opinion of mixing gold rum and white/silver rum in one extract. I don't know.
You want
Is
me
it
to take
rum
that?
you're using in
If
this
you
one or
want.
vodka in this one?
This one had vodka. We used
Vodka.
Svetka, which is kind of one of our go-tos, like middle lower shelf, but the quality is really, really good that we like. But in terms of mixing within the same spirit category, we always say that's okay.
Yeah.
The
And I
difference-
like gold and white, I think would be fine
yeah,
because it's the same spirit category.
yeah. The difference between a silver rum or a white rum, a gold rum, or like a dark rum and aged rum is the amount of time that the rum was left to age within the cask. And so a silver rum comes right out of the distiller's bottled and it's sort of ready to go as is. It's sugar based, so it's sweet. A gold rum has sat in the cask for X amount of times. I can't remember. We actually did a video on this years ago. I can't remember the exact age, but it's just a younger aged rum. And then when you get into like your dark rums, they're aged for even longer and take on the scent or the aroma and the taste of the cask. Most of the casks are purchased from bourbon distillers. Bourbon always has to begin with a brand new American oak cask that's never been used before. So as a result, they can never reuse them. So they have on the secondary cask market, most of the world's casks that are floating all around, even Scotland, where they make scotch. It's American bourbon casks. And so most of the rum people use that. So using different rums in the same category or spirits in the same category, usually okay. We've done that before. You're not going to have any problems at all. You're just going to add a little more smokiness when you add that gold rum into your extract.
What you don't want to do is, mix. So if you start with vodka and then put bourbon in, you're going to come up with something completely different. And I wouldn't mix the spirit.
No, we don't recommend that at all. And there's an exception to every rule. Like sometimes you use Everclear to beef up the proof, but that's where we can start getting really complicated. So rule of thumb, as you're just getting started, always stay within the same spirit category. This is important too in your mother jars because you might have a gold rum when you begin your mother jar. And then, you've added all these new beans a year later and you can't remember what that first rum was. It's just important to remember that it's a rum. And then if you add a silver, if you add an aged, you're going to be okay.
It's just what's in the bean. It's not going to make a huge difference if you've got a little bit of bourbon in that bean that you're putting in. But if you're refilling it, I would always refill it with the original alcohol that you started with.
Yep. Great question. Love that question.
It's wise advice not to mix your spirits, right?
Yes. We've had some bad experiences.
Oh,
really, bourbon just kind of takes over.
Yes.
Bourbon takes over. So if you've got a vodka and you add a bourbon, you might add, 6 to 12 more months to your extract making timeline because bourbon is such a strong spirit. And then even some of the dark rums, they'll just take over. So you really just want to make sure, keep bourbons with bourbons, rum with rum, vodka with vodka.
Yeah.
Brandy with brandy, on and on. Cognac with cognac. Cognac and brandy can go together. Now we're getting, I'm down the rabbit hole.
No. That being said, I was going to say, this is not a hard, fast rule where you never mix.
Oh,
that's
gosh.
a whole new recipe for you. Brandy and, cognac. And I mean, there are all kinds of different things that you maybe could try and see, if there are two spirits you like, try it out. You might create something that we're all going to start.
You might, but we caution against that bourbon with a vodka.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it'll just become very bourbon.
Yeah, it'll be bourbon wins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to clarify, vodka does have cognac in it. There is an alcohol out there, it's called 20 Grand Gold, and it is vodka cognac mix.
Oh.
That is interesting. Well, I have not seen that one. Julie, how have we not run into you at the state liquor store here in Utah?
I don't shop in Utah.
Oh. That's why. The better stuff's all outside of the state. You're very smart.
It is true.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to look up that vodka. I'd like to know more about it. I haven't seen a a cognac vodka blend.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, but vodkas are getting really creative now, like the Rain Cane vodka that we promote. I mean, vodka usually historically didn't come from sugar, but Rain Cane comes from sugar. But the temperature at which it's distilled is what makes it a vodka. And so people are getting real creative. So the more spirits that are being created, the more extract applications.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to have to hurry things along because we want to get into our next extract. So let's go ahead and finish the mocha.
So really nothing is dripping out of this. So I'm just going to set it over here in the sink for later to dry. Just going to pour back some or all of my alcohol. And really, if at this point, at this point, I mean, really, it's just right below the line. So I really don't feel like I need to add. If you want to, you can.
Just a quick question whilst you're pouring there, Jill. Laura asked, is it better to leave the beans whole when you take them out so that you still have the caviar? Or is, I guess that's just personal preference.
And I'll take this one. So if you recall back on our very first class, the challenge with leaving them whole in a mixed ingredient extract is just space. So we were trying to cut everything down so it all went low so that 8 ounces of alcohol covered everything. And so when you're doing a multi-ingredient extract, you lose some of those options. Now, you can certainly try tying them in a single knot, maybe even a double knot, just to like get them down low if you want to preserve the caviar. But in the case of like, and we're going to get into this in a minute, like in double fold extracts or extracts with lots of ingredients, we just find it's easier to just cut them into small pieces to make sure that they all are submerged underneath the alcohol. So we have a whole section on the pros and cons of slicing versus not slicing beans on our website that you can look at, to kind of see why you would and why you wouldn't. But with multi-ingredients, it's just difficult.
It is, but make sure that you just put the vanilla beans on the bottom. And, if you're using a mason jar or even these French squares, you can kind of get something in and kind of push things down if you feel like things aren't quite covering. I have noticed though, when I tie the beans, it kind of makes it more difficult to get it all covered in an extract like this that has so many, we had so many coffee beans and cacao beans that it kind of filled halfway up. When we did this originally in November, that's why I did it backwards. So you could see how much the cacao and then the coffee was going to fill it. And that's why we cut it so small.
Yep. Now you've got some residue on the side. We just shake around the spirit once you
I
put the lid
will.
on it to take all that residue off the side.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't rinse it out. If there's a little piece of cacao in there, it's going to be just fine. If you don't like that, you can rinse it out. So I'm just going to kind of shake it.
There you go.
Okay. And then this is where I change out my instructions for myself. I take this old one off and then I put my new one on. And that way it's just when I open the cupboard, I know exactly where I am at. Next December, I'm going to have more mocha vanilla to put in my coffee and brownies.
There you go. And, obviously with the beans back in there, the vanilla beans take longer to extract than anything. Cinnamon extracts faster. The star anise from our last one extracts faster. Cloves, obviously the cacao, the coffee, they all extract really, really quickly. So the point is right now when you're changing them out and you smell it, you're going to smell a ton of coffee and cacao. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, the vanilla is only going to be a hint because it's only been in there for a couple of months, 3 months. And so it'll be there, but it'll be very subtle. So the reason that we're waiting now is 100% for the vanilla. And the reason I say that is, and we said this in the last live that we did, is a lot of people now are taking their finished extracts and they're using their finished extracts to make their multi-ingredient extracts. Because if we had started with a fully extracted like Madagascar vanilla extract, then you could have poured that finished Madagascar extract in just with the coffee and cacao. And then in 3 months, you have mocha extract instead of having to wait an entire year. But since we started with new vanilla beans, we've got to wait a whole year for the mocha to be finished. But that's a really important point. And one of the things that we're encouraging people more and more to do is to start a lot of those like single bean extracts or a blend of beans with just a vodka or just a bourbon. Have many of them ready, because then you can go back, and this is a great use for mother jar extracts that are finished. You can go back, you can start these multi-ingredient extracts with a finished extract that's 35% alcohol because you made it correctly, and you can use it to extract the beans of the cacao. Now we're talking about finished multi-ingredient extracts in 2, 3, 4 months, right? Which is fun, really fun.
Yeah.
Anything we can do to save time.
Yes, but for our beginners, if you don't want to, commit to that much vanilla, it's a lot, and vanilla beans are expensive. If you're just getting into it, just start with, a few different recipes and see what you think.
Totally.
And then you'll know kind of what direction you want to go in.
But we always say start with 2 or 3. So in a year, you can at least do 2 or 3 different taste tests. If you start all with the same one, you wait a year, you're like, that was great, you don't have anything to compare it to. Give yourself a taste test in a year with lots of them. And this is another reason you want to make them with friends, because if you all coordinate with friends, you just each make a different one. And then it's a great reason to have a party and do it, right? Have a taste test, have fun after a year.
Well, and when we first started, we were taste testing after a month with everything because we're nerds. We're vanilla nerds. It was an experiment for us. We were just trying to figure out, how does this work, right? Like, what is it? How long does it really take for this to be great? And we really found that after a year, that sweet spot, it's great at a year. But we know a lot of people say, I like it at 3 months or 6 months. So you're welcome to taste test it. And taste testing is also in our book. Taste test it in a month. It's not going to taste great, but it'll be an experiment. Right. You'll be able to follow it along the path where you're like, yeah, at a month, wow, it was really, really strong. And I mean, if you want to be as nerdy as us, do it at 2 months and try it then. And then you'll kind of experiment and find where your sweet spot is. Maybe it isn't a year. You'll find out yourself. And
we've done it every single month on many, many extracts regularly, where we're like, okay, I get it. And we'll take notes and be like, this one, I think it's done. We try it a month later. Of course it's better. So that's why when we say sweet spot, it's our own personal sweet spot that we've seen when we're extracting.
Yeah.
Let's jump in. We're going to close the book on Mocha. We're going to come back and we're going to taste test this Mocha extract for the holiday season next year. So tune in next November, and we'll bring this one back out. We'll do a taste test, see how it turned out. But right now, this one just kind of goes away into our cabinet. It's
going to go in the back.
Hundreds of others.
Yeah.
And we'll see it on, we've got 12/21. So
yeah.
We'll see it right before Christmas next year.
And again, originally, my original date is always at the bottom.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's jump into our next extract. We're going to move along here. And then, because we've got about 15 minutes to wrap this extract up, we're excited about this one because it's our first double fold extract. And we're also going to talk about blending vanilla beans. We talked about spirit blending. So let's talk about bean blending here. This one is on page 85 of our book. It's called the Spiced Rum Double Fold Blend Extract. And it's included in the book for this reason. We wanted to introduce the concept of taking 2 different beans, putting them together in one extract with the same spirit. And then we're also going to talk about double fold.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So why don't we begin, and then
and then
we'll just talk along the way.
Talk along the way. Okay, so because this is double fold, I've got an ounce of, we're going to use our Papua New Guinea beans, and then our other ounce here is going to be our Madagascar. Papua New Guinea has kind of got that light fruity taste, and then the Madagascar gives us that buttery, creamy, the standard vanilla that we're used to tasting. So we wanted to be able to add both of those flavors into one extract.
So the specific Papua New Guinea, and I'll talk what you can be weighing them, but the specific Papua New Guinea is the planifolia version. We call this one our Popendetta. And so we like it. There's also the Karima Papua New Guinea, which is our Tahitensis version. The Karima is even more fruity. It's like an Ecuadorian, it's like a Centani, so it's really, really fruity when you get into the Karima. The planifolia has a little bit more of that traditional earthy, but coupled with like undertones of fruit. It's very similar to like a Tongan bean that's also a planifolia bean, but fruity. Why are we using fruity, and why are we using classic Madagascar? The reason is the spiced rum. We're trying to find beans that match the spice of the spiced rum really well. And we know that anytime we use fruity beans, we know that they're going to end up in holiday pies, in fruit tarts, in creams and custards, things that we typically make during the holiday season that are more conducive to fruits. And we want to make sure that there's a little bit of that fruit kick that comes out, right? So that's the reason we chose the 2 beans. You may like other beans. I think Mexican beans with spiced rum would be wonderful. The Tanzanian beans with spiced rum would be wonderful. At the time of writing the book, we have new beans that have come out even since finishing our edits on the book that might, even be better. So based on your experience, have fun. The Hawaiian beans with a Madagascar bean, or the Hawaiian with a Mexican and a spiced rum would be wonderful. So there's lots of ways you can do it. That's why we chose the 2 beans we did.
And also you can see here that this Madagascar bean, they're not that much different than these were actually Karima. I'm sorry, Popendetta. And then just the size, sometimes the Karima are smaller and sometimes they're bigger. Just like in the store, sometimes you get bananas that are larger and smaller. It just depends on the crop and the farm that we get them from. And Madagascar also can be very large and then smaller at times. So you always really want to make sure that you're weighing these because they all come in different sizes.
Yep. Now you're cutting them into really small pieces.
Why is that? I'm doing that while you're talking because it takes a bit. I'm cutting them into small pieces because I'm only putting 8 ounces of vodka with this. And so I need
spiced rum, right?
I'm sorry, spiced rum, yes. Yeah. And so we need to make sure that they're all going to be covered. And if I tie them, I've come into problems that it doesn't cover. So I'm going to have a ton of caviar in these. And there's no change outs. This is going to go into the bottle and be here for an entire year. And so this is going to be a very rich double fold extract. And why do we do double fold? Why spend double the amount on one extract and it costs twice as much? Why bother?
Yeah, and so that's the question. And even let me take one step back for anyone that's new in our group. So a single fold extract is an extract that follows the FDA standard of 0.83 ounces of vanilla beans, less than 25% moisture content, to every 1 gallon of alcohol. To every 8 ounces of alcohol. So 0.83 ounces of vanilla beans to every 8 ounces or 1 cup of alcohol. That's 35%. We round up for ease of remembering, and then also to take into consideration moisture content from grade A vanilla beans for those that use grade A, so the alcohol doesn't get diluted at all. So 1 ounce of beans to 8 ounces of alcohol, that's single fold. So 2 ounces of beans to 8 ounces of alcohol is double fold. So the reason people go double fold instead of single fold, the whole point of extract making is to try to maximize the amount of sweetness in the right amount of moisture content. So if you go to like your very basic recipes with cake, for example, and it calls for 1 teaspoon of extract, you can't add 2 teaspoons because you'll add twice the moisture content, and that will affect the way that your cake turns out. So the question is how much sweetness can we pack on to that 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract to increase sweetness without increasing moisture content of your recipe? And the answer to that is double fold. Some people even do triple fold. And so the result is twice the amount of beans, twice the amount of sweetness. So some people may ask, well, if I've got twice the amount of beans in there, then doesn't it mean that my extract will be ready in half the time? And I think the answer could be yes. But what that means is you spend a lot of money to make a single fold extract in 6 months instead of a year versus waiting the whole 12 months, which we would say is the sweet spot, to get the richness of a double fold. So you're certainly going to get more sweetness faster, and you could probably taste test in 6 months and it would be great. But the whole point of double fold is to get more sweetness. Triple fold, same thing, it's to get more sweetness. Now, when you're considering a double fold, we call a double fold, it's like a multi-ingredient extract. So for the same reason that we cut the beans into really small pieces to make sure that they're fully submerged with the Mocha or with the winter spice extract, because you add all those other ingredients, the other ingredient in this is more vanilla beans. And so we cut them into really, really small pieces to make sure that when we pour in just that 8 ounces of spirits, that they're fully submerged. So you need to do some planning on your bottle size just to make sure you're giving yourself enough room for the extra ingredients, the extra vanilla beans, and making sure that they're fully submerged. So in our case, we like this one, the flask, because it's kind of wide but narrow, so the spirit rises quickly. So maybe we show that under the camera if Did wants to switch over. Many of you have seen it's just a traditional 8.5 ounce flask, but it's wide and it's narrow, and so it'll fill up quickly and those beans will all be submerged.
Yeah, and since I don't have any change outs or anything, I like to put it in a bottle that maybe is going to sit on my counter. So I think I like how these look, and so when I'm finished, I can just put it on the counter, have it next to all of my baking things, and it's
Looks
pretty at the same time.
Yeah,
Right.
form matters.
I did come across something. This bean has a tattoo on it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
Oh yeah, look at that. Can you
see it?
move it a little? Now freeze for a second, let the camera kind of focus. You can kind of see it right there is where it's at. Maybe turn it a little, see if the light can hit it. It's hard to see.
Oh, I was hoping on this this closer up
Yeah, hard to see
for
it
our
entirely.
newbies to see. But tattoos are the way that farmers will mark their beans. It's kind of like branding a cow. That's what they do with their beans, so that you know where what farm they came from. And it's supposed to be good luck to get one of these. So I guess we're gonna have some good luck, huh?
We have a tattoo section on our website that you can look at, and there's a picture of a tattoo, so you can see one a little bit more close up.
I know, I'm so bummed you can't see it, because I was hoping you could.
Yeah, we like seeing the tattoos. And then it just reminds us that all these beans were individually touched by a human at the point of pollination, and then at the point of harvesting. That, these things don't just grow and a machine goes through a field and picks them up, and there's no mechanical step through the whole process. These are all humans. So when you see those little dots, it reminds us that there was actually a farmer with like a sharp little thorn that they'll get off of a branch nearby, or a toothpick, and they just dot little holes when they're still green to make their tattoos, to make sure they don't get stolen. So
Okay,
let's talk about spiced rum.
Spiced rum. We're just gonna add 8 ounces and 1 cup. Spiced rum, this is actually the only alcohol that we suggest that has a flavor to it. We haven't, and this is just us, but we suggest you stick with, alcohols that don't have artificial flavoring with them. But this is the one exception. This spiced rum has made some really amazing extracts that we use during the holidays.
So just to elaborate on that, so these are the problems with flavored alcohols that we see. Most of the time when you get like a flavored vodka or flavored rum, the alcohol content nowadays is a lot less than 35%. The artificial flavors that are added, they'll water it down. And so then you'll get like a coconut rum that's only a 20% ABV. It wasn't always that way, but it seems like it's kind of trending that way. So the first issue with flavored spirits is you just don't have enough alcohol they're not going to extract. The second issue, we thought this early on, we've mentioned this in other lives, but it's important, that, we bought like a vanilla Smirnoff, and it was 35%. And we're like, well, this is great. We're going to get like double the vanilla. And we got just the opposite. It like the way that the natural vanilla blends with an artificial flavor, it was like metallic. It was really one of the worst extracts that we had ever made.
A little off. Yeah.
Yep. We tried doing it with the coconut rum, and it didn't turn out well. And we thought that it would. We actually had something once on our site where we were trying with the coconut rum, but then in the live, when we actually did the taste test, it turned out not good at all. And so we're not fans of any artificial flavor except for a spiced rum, and specifically the Kraken. It has been a really, really good spiced rum. And then Captain Morgan, they even have a Madagascar. They use real Madagascar vanillas in their spice. And that blend of the Captain Morgan Madagascar spiced rum with for vanilla extract is good. I heard a rumor that they're discontinuing it. I saw it was still available just the other night at the liquor store. So I don't know if that's the case, but I did hear a rumor that the Captain Morgan spiced rum might be going away. The Kraken, I haven't heard those rumors. But this extract, what do we use it for? Because the spiced rum, this is like holidays, right? It's another one, and it should be close ready this coming holiday season, so we can use it. But
I love to put it in my French toast during that time of year. It just adds a little extra kick to your French toast. And then, oh my goodness, all of your different, like apple pie. It's wonderful in apple pie. Just
Eggnog.
anything you like that kind of that holiday spice, add that in there. I mean, I put it into banana bread, and it adds just a little bit extra, spice to that recipe.
Absolutely. So holiday stuff is what we use it for. And so then once we pour, you put your stickers on it, right?
Yep.
And that's the last step. And then this is another one today where we're just going to close it up and we'll come back and visit it. We'll come back around the holidays. This is a good example of us not waiting a full year, because I think we'll try to use this one during the holidays. But if we still feel like it's a little too boozy in November, we won't, right?
I also want to show you when I'm finished here that this is an 8.5-ounce jar, and I've got quite a bit of room left in the top. Even after, there's my date, so I'm just going to put that on the bottom. And now I know. Spiced rum. I put the page number of the book, so it just makes it easy for me to reference. And then, of course, the day on the bottom that I started. But look how much is left here. I'm only about here. Just because, and this we found out, just because the bottle says 8.5 ounces, doesn't mean that 8.5 ounces is up to here. I bet you we could probably even get another ounce or a little bit more into this bottle. Bottle manufacturers, it says 8.5 ounces, but
They have a minimum volume size that they have to claim, and what they're worried about is that it's ever less. It always has to be more than. So typically when you're buying a 250 milliliter bottle or an 8.5-ounce bottle, it's going to hold more than what it says in the marketing. And that's the reason that, and we mentioned this in a previous slide, it's really important that you always measure your spirit.
yes.
And you don't just trust the bottle, because as this one, you still have that much room, and that's with double fold vanilla beans.
Yeah.
So there's been tons of spirit displacement. With a single fold, it actually would be even a little bit further down because of the extra space from that particular manufacturer.
Yeah.
Which we learned, and we learned it, the hard way. We had filled it because it was an 8.5-ounce bottle, and then we went and tasted it, and it was like a little diluted. We weren't getting the taste that we wanted, and so as we researched it, we started measuring it. That's what we found. And that's not rocket science. It's something we should always be doing. Just always weigh your beans, always measure your spirits. That'll increase the likelihood that your extract turns out perfect when you're ready to use it, right?
Well, we're human, and whenever you can skip a step when you think you're doing it the right way, we do, and then we learn, right? Whoops, that isn't quite what we thought it was.
That isn't quite what we thought it was. Okay, well, that's it. That's what we're making this time. Let's see, are there any questions about the blend that we need to go through really quick? We've got about 5 minutes left.
So many useful tips there, Jill and Paul. Thank you. So just a comment from Connie. She says she's had great success with I'm guessing it's the Captain Morgan coconut rum, 70 proof, which is made with natural coconut. So that might be one to try.
Okay.
We'll have to give that a try, yeah.
And a couple of questions. Jessica is wondering why you always have to keep your extracts in the dark whilst they are in the making.
Great question. The answer is UV rays. So when you get really kind of geeky and you get into the science of vanilla beans, every single vanilla bean has more than 300 distinct flavor compounds. So this is like cellular level stuff. And each one of those compounds are very delicate, and they can be damaged very quickly. They can be damaged in heating. So if you heat your extracts and then do like a taste test, it'll taste different. They can be damaged in chilling. They can be damaged by the UV rays of the sun bouncing in and hitting them, and they'll damage it. This is why a lot of commercial extract makers use amber bottles, because they know that in transit, it's possible that the extract's going to hit the sun at certain times or be next to a window in a grocery store, and they want to make sure that it's protected. So for that reason, when you're storing them, you want to keep it in a cool, dark place. And I say cool, that's usually like a cellar, like Starlet's Vanilla Room is like down in the basement, so it's a little naturally cooler. We keep ours in our pantry, in a cupboard.
Some of them, I keep them in the back of a cupboard, and they're perfectly fine there. Don't worry too much that it's, I wouldn't put them, in a cupboard that's right above your oven. But in a cupboard somewhere in your kitchen, you'll be just fine.
Yep. And then that's another advantage we have as at-home extract makers that commercial extract makers don't, is that we can take a year to gently extract all the flavor compounds, whereas commercial extract makers, they put it through equipment, they apply heat, They do really severe agitation to try to like maximize the release of all the oils. And doing all of that, it alters the flavor. And so that's one of the reasons that virtually everyone says as soon as you go to like an at-home extract, you'll never go back to a commercial because you've taken the time to really get the essence and the true taste of that vanilla bean out.
Time is on our side.
Time is on our side. Time's on your side. So the hardest part is that first extract. But then if you make the calendar and you've got other extracts that are going to be ready after the first, then you'll never need extract again. And you'll always be using slow aged extract, which is just better than fast made extract.
And we like to use clear bottles because I like to watch it. I like to see the process. I like to pull it out after a month and see what it looks like. Because, you know, we're nerds.
We're nerds.
We'll admit it.
And it helps us keep track to see if anybody's sneaking out in the middle of the night and drinking these things. You're like, wait a minute, I can see that that level's down.
We haven't
done that. We're joking.
Our kids are
We
good.
do have a teenage son though, so we have to watch. Everything's lock and key. Anyway.
Everything is lock and key. The vanilla is in the back of the cupboard and he's a good boy.
He's a good kid. It's the older one we have to watch out for. Yeah. Teasing. They're both good boys.
Yeah, there was another question. I hope I'm saying this name right, but Teresa, is she noticed you were using scissors to cut your vanilla beans. Do you always prefer to use scissors or do you sometimes use a knife? And is it just for ease or what's the logic?
It is. I prefer to use scissors. It goes faster for me. I can, you know, I can do multiple at a time. You can do the knife too, but I just prefer scissors. It just goes faster for me. But whatever works for you, try it out. Do both and see what you like.
Great. Yeah, I'm a fan of using scissors in the kitchen too, and especially for, I know this isn't related, but for cutting meat, I find it much easier to use scissors.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I have a question on the back of another one of Connie's comments. She was thanking you for your affirmation that you can use a matured extract to make some of these other extracts. Is that the case with all of the sort of blended extracts? If you start with a mature vanilla, you can just add in those other ingredients to save a little bit of time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, all you need is a solution that's 35% alcohol. So if you made your first extract correctly, and if you made sure that you had a minimum 35%, maximum 50% alcohol content, which is 70 to 100 proof, so long as that extract that you're using began with that, then you can use that finished extract for anything because it'll have the right alcohol content and it will extract just like you want it to. So absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good to know. So you can make a big batch of good vanilla extract and then experiment with all sorts of different flavors after that.
Yes, it's a great use again for your mother jar. Why you want to get a mother jar started, as soon as that mother jar is ready and you're liking the taste, you can start using it for all of these and you can go a whole lot faster.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Great.
I think please let me know if I missed any other questions out there. I'm just scrolling through to see.
Yep. Well, we're coming up on 12 o'clock, a little past. So we're going to wrap up here. So first of all, to all of you that have been with us from the beginning of the meeting, thank you. Thanks for kind of dancing with us on this first meeting where we started early. We let everyone come in right at the same time so we could all just kind of talk and figure things out and make sure that we set it all up correctly. The next meeting, we'll probably have you in a waiting room and then we'll let you all in at the same time. So we'll start it a little bit differently, but where this was the first one, we wanted to be there with you and just, you know, make it comfortable. And we hope that this was comfortable. It's not as easy as just, you know, waiting for the live to pop up in our Facebook group. But we think with the interaction back and forth, with the camera, with the quality of the video, with the real-time discussion, for us at least, it has felt like a much better experience. And we really feel even more that you're all here with us in our kitchen. This has been kind of fun.
Well, and it's a little bit easier because we can see you and we can see your faces. You know, oftentimes, you know, in our lives, we're just staring at this camera and we get to hear your voices. And so you're real to us. And I love that.
Yeah. So this has been nice. It has been fun to look down and see, like right now I see Julie. I think a minute ago, Julie, maybe I saw Wayne too. And it's just fun to see people and places and smiles. And it just makes us happy when we're up talking, right? To get like that feedback.
I see Debbie.
We see Debbie. Hello,
Hi,
Debbie.
I saw Julie.
Oh my goodness, really? This just makes my heart happy to see your faces.
it does. So thanks for kind of dancing with us and jumping on over to Zoom. Like we do every time, we always want to end giving someone a gift, just to say, thanks for being here and thanks for your participation. And it's a $50 e-gift card to vanillapura.com. And today we wanted to give it to Nancy Meal, because Nancy, we've been talking back and forth, and I know Teresa was talking with you this morning to make sure we got you all set up. And I know that you didn't have it and you had to install the new app, and it's been quite a journey for you. And we just wanted to say thanks for playing, Nancy. We see that you're here. We just wouldn't be the same if we didn't have Nancy with us. So we're so glad that we were able to get it all worked out, and that Nancy's been part of our live this morning. So we'll make sure we get that sent out to you, Nancy. Look for it pretty soon, today or before end of week. Go ahead.
Just have a wonderful day and happy extracting.
Yeah, happy extracting. Thanks for joining us. We'll let you know soon when we do it again. Follow us on YouTube to when we post the replays of these. You'll see them. Follow us over on Eventbrite, and you'll get like a notification as soon as we put another live up. We like the organization of Eventbrite. It makes it really easy to plan classes like this. We really kind of fell in love with it because it sends you an email reminder. The links are always there, and it'll help you get on a whole lot faster. But and then if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to go to our Facebook group. Ask them. Someone will answer if it's not us, 24/7. So thanks to all of you. A big thank you to Did, who did a wonderful job moderating her very first, and you're like a pro, Did. So thank you very much. And Teresa, who's watching as well, thank you. Teresa's actually out of town right now. Took time out of her day to be with us. And so thank you, Teresa, for being here today and for taking all the customer service calls this morning as we were trying to get everyone ready for the new live and the new format. So we really appreciate all of you. It takes a village, doesn't it?
Takes a team, that's right. We
takes a
can't do
team.
it alone.
So thanks to all of you, and we'll see you again in a few more weeks. We'll keep you posted on our February live when that's going to happen and what we'll be talking about.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.